Much better, much better now. Okay, so now we can do this again. And let me share my book. Okay, now we can start. All right, yeah, so let's check and we're gonna listen again. This time the original. Okay, so we said here was his wife persuaded him, not his editor, his wife persuaded him to accept it as a tribute to as a tribute to
Ireland, I think.
Ireland. Very good, Ireland. A tribute to Ireland. He also won a Hollywood Oscar in 1939 for the film version of his play
Pygmalion.
Very good. This Pygmalion. Very good. He is he is he is he is
The only.
very good. He is the only writer to win both awards. So he's the only writer. He is the only writer. He wrote over 60 plays, but Pygmalion is probably his most famous work because because
In 1956.
very good. He in 1956 uh, after his death, bueno, aquí faltaría 1956. After his death, it was adapted. Well, so after his death, aquí faltaría, after his death, it was adapted. Y sería, it was adapted into the highly successful musical for stage play. My Fair Lady. He died age 24 after falling.
Of a ladder.
Very good. Off a ladder. Well, he was also 94. I mean, he's very strong man. So his play is really interesting. It's a base of all the soap operas, las novelas of Thalia. We can imagine. This is the original. Okay, it's the origin of all the stories that you know, and you'll find out. Van a averiguar. Okay. So in number 2 says, read about the settings. The settings are las puestas, yeah, and characters for Act 2. Specifically, we're going to Act 2 of Pygmalion of this play, and it says, what job does each character have? Why would Higgins want to transcribe the speech of a flower girl? What's a cockney? Okay, so read all these settings and characters and answer this question. Oh, sorry.
Unit 2.
Oof,
In so many words.
I bet, wait a second.
Tape script
Oh
2.1.
my goodness.
George Bernard Shaw.
But that's the first part.
George Bernard Shaw, 1856 to 19.
Okay, so we're gonna listen again. Don't worry, it works. Oh, my computer's a mess. Okay, we're gonna listen. Don't worry about that. Okay, so you read this, right? Now, it says, what job does each character have? Each character have. So let's go. We have each character. Professor Higgins, what's his job? Read it. He is,
Professor of phonology.
yes, very good. He's a professor of phonology. Okay. Then what about Colonel Pickering? What's his job of Colonel Pickering?
Higgins' friends and a language expert.
He's a language expert. Very good. What about Mrs. Pierce? What's her job?
Higgins' house.
She is a housekeeper. Very good. And Eliza Doolittle is? What is she?
A cauliflower girl.
She's a flower girl. She specifically she's a flower girl, so she sells flowers in streets. Now, that's what their jobs, right? Their characters. The second question says, why would Higgins want to transcribe the speech of a flower girl? Now, you don't know this play. You've never seen this play in your life. But Higgins, let's see, it's a professor of phonology. And a professor of phonology is mainly how to speak, right? The tones of voice, going high and up, and and pronunciation of the words, right? So that is his specialty. He's a professor in that. And so why would Higgins, this professor, want to transcribe the speech of a flower girl? Why? Any imagination? Why? Why? Imagine those ladies from that sell flowers on the streets. Okay.
Maybe because she saw something.
She saw something. I cannot understand you. Maybe she saw
Yes,
something. Okay, maybe she saw something.
Miss,
Okay,
maybe because her life was
Miss Paola, maybe because her life.
maybe because her life was interesting.
Her
Maybe.
life, very good name. Okay, so what is a cockney? What is that? Now, maybe you don't know, you never heard of that. Let me tell you. A cockney, is describes a person who comes from London's East End. So it's traditionally someone born with the sound of Bow Bells or St. Mary Le Beau, Cheapside. Cockney typically speaks a dialect of English, the pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary, which differs from standard English. So, in other words, Cockney English is London's but east side of London. London's east end, like we can say Oruro South part, east side, but they have a specific accent. Their grammar, um, their vocabulary, the pronunciation is very different from standard English. Very different. Now we can say the same with people that come from the countryside, right? From the countryside, they have a special Spanish, right? We know because they have an accent, because they are second Spanish learners. The first language was Quechua or Aymara, so they have an accent to Spanish. When they talk to us, they mix, right? The female and masculine words and vocabulary and grammar, etc. Because their first language is Quechua and Aymara. So when they come to the city, we recognize them. Oh, this person knows how to speak Quechua or Aymara because they have that accent. But they speak Spanish too, but they have that accent. It's the same with Cockney. Okay, it's someone that has a special, it has an accent that describes them from that part. So this is just when I was learning how to translate, my first job was translating for English people, English from England. And the worst thing is that all of the translators were from La Paz, and I was the only Bolivian Ordoñita. And I remember that most of them, they were criticizing the English of the English people. And I was really young, naive, ingenua. But I learned that each part of England had different accents. And if they were if they weren't from the city, like London, those or Oxford, or those really important cities, so they were labor English, like low English, and they used to discriminate. And I was really shocked because everybody was criticizing their English. And I thought, why? So it's the same. We're gonna learn this type of Cockney English. Okay, it's gonna be fun. So that is their jobs and the purpose, right? Maybe this professor wants to know more about this accent and vocabulary and the way this flower girl speaks, right? So welcome to the first part. We're gonna read this. It says 2.2, read and listen to the opening scene from Act 2 and answer the questions. Okay, so this is Act 2. Read and listen, please. But first, let's read about George Bernard Shaw, and then we'll continue with Act 2. Okay, and you need to answer all of these questions. So there's going to be a lot of listening. Okay, so let's begin with 2.1. Let's do that.
Unit 2. In so many words. Tape script 2.1. George Bernard Shaw.
George Bernard Shaw, 1856 to 1950, was an Anglo-Irish playwright. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1925. Shaw's instincts were to refuse this honour, but his wife persuaded him to accept it as a tribute to Ireland. He also won a Hollywood Oscar in 1939 for the film version of his play Pygmalion. He is the only writer to win both awards. He wrote over 60 plays, but Pygmalion is probably his most famous work because in 1956, after his death, it was adapted into the highly successful musical for stage and screen, My Fair Lady. He died, aged 94, after falling off a ladder.
Okay, so that is the first part. Now let's continue with the second, okay? Wait a second. We checked that. We did already. Now 2.2.
Tape script 2.2.
Read.
Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. Act 2, Scene 1. Professor Higgins' laboratory.
Well, I think that's the whole show.
It's really amazing. I haven't taken half of it in, you know.
Oh, would you like to go over any of it again?
No, thank you. Not now.
Tired of listening to sounds?
Yes, it's a fearful strain. I rather fancy it myself because I can pronounce 24 distinct vowel sounds, but your 130 beat me. I can't hear a bit of difference between most of them.
Oh, that comes with practice. What's the matter?
A young woman wants to see you, sir.
A young woman? What does she want?
Well, sir, she says you'll be glad to see her when you know what she's come about. She's quite a common girl, sir. Very common indeed. I should have sent her away, only I thought perhaps you wanted her to talk into your machines.
Oh, that's all right, Mrs. Pierce. Has she an interesting accent?
Oh, something dreadful, sir, really. I don't know how you can take an interest in it.
Let's have her up. Show her up, Mrs. Pierce.
Very well, sir. It's not for me to say.
This is rather a bit of luck. I'll show you how I make records. We'll set her talking, and then we'll get her onto the phonograph so that you can turn her on as often as you like with a written transcript before you.
This is the young woman, sir.
Why? This is the girl I jotted down last night. She's no use. Be off with you, I don't want you.
Oh, don't you be so saucy. You ain't heard what I come for yet. Oh, we are proud. He ain't above giving lessons. Not him. I heard him say so. Well, I ain't come here to ask for any compliment. And if my money's not good enough, I can go elsewhere. I'm come to have lessons, I am. And to pay for them too, make no mistake.
Well, what is it you want, my girl?
I want to be a lady in a flower shop. But they won't take me unless I can talk more genteel. He said he could teach me. Well, here I am, ready to pay him, not asking a favour.
Oh, sorry. let's listen one more time. A ver, so it was this, and it, okay, so it was. A ver, ¿desde dónde? Un ratito voy a retroceder. Ay, desde aquí, ¿ok? Please continue with the exercise. Please, the recording is, my connection is horrible. So answer 1 to 8, you have all the material for you to do it.